What's that? It's time for another all age slot. Ooh. Have you ever let anyone down? I have. Once when I was doing my GCSEs, that's the exams at the end of secondary school, I had invited some of my friends over to revise in the morning. We had a science exam in the afternoon, so I said, come over in the morning and we'll revise together, we'll look at the workbook and we'll prepare for the exam in the afternoon. So that's what they did. They came over and we sat in the garden and we were looking through the workbook and we were testing each other and we were preparing for the exam in the afternoon. And then we got to the bit about stars in the workbook. And I said to my friends, I said, don't worry about this bit. We'll skip it. We don't need to look at the bit about stars because I'm sure there won't be a question on stars. I'm certain of it. And if there is, then there will be a tiny, tiny question. We don't need to revise the bit about stars. Let's just skip that and move on. And they were like, oh yeah, Beth's pretty certain about this. So yeah, fine. Let's not look at it. So we moved on and we revised everything else. We got to our exam in the afternoon. We sat down in silence and they said go. And we opened our exam papers and the first 2-page spread, a whole 2 pages at the front, was on stars. Oops. I had let my friends down. We've been learning about the life of Peter, haven't we? And last week, we learned that Jesus washed Peter's feet and the rest of his disciples' feet to show them that he was going to wash their hearts clean and to show them that he loved them. And he said, you go and do the same. You go and show love to other people. Well, this week, we will learn that Peter wasn't very good at that. You see, Jesus knew that he was going to die. He knew that he had to die to save us. He was exhausted with sorrow. He knew that very soon people were going to come and arrest him and take him to the cross. So he takes Peter and 2 guys called James and John and he goes to pray at a place called Gethsemane. Now Jesus asked his disciples to wait here while he went and prayed to God his Father. Jesus went and cried out to his God. How awful to know that you had to die. But you know what he said? Jesus said, I want your will, God, not mine. Jesus was saying, even though this is going to be awful, and even though I know that it's going to be awful, I'm going to do it, God, because I know it's what you want me to do. He knew that it was in God's good plan, that it was how he was going to show his love to his people. How amazing. Jesus loved Peter, James and John so much that he was willing to go to a cross to die for them. He went back to check on his disciples. He went back to his disciples after showing them that much love. And look how he found them, asleep. He said, can you not even stay awake for an hour to keep watch with me? He told them he was going to pray again. Jesus kept crying out to God. He was in so much pain, so much agony. To know where he was going, it was such an awful day. He went back to his disciples a second time. The second time he came back, he found them asleep again. Oi! He went back to pray again, leaving them to keep watch for a third time. Jesus prays again. What else can he do? He came back a third time and they were sleeping again. Excuse me. You see, even though Peter was weak, Jesus still goes to die for him. In that last time when he went and woke them up, he said to Peter, let's go, the time has come. He was saying, even though you've fallen asleep and you couldn't even keep watch for me for an hour, I still love you and I'm still going to die for you. So come on, now's the time. He doesn't say, nah, these people aren't worth it. They clearly don't love me that much. They've fallen asleep. He says, no, I'm going to die for you. And you know, even though we let Jesus down again and again, and we don't live in the way that Jesus says we should live, and we turn away from him and do wrong things, he's still died for us. If we put our trust in Jesus, the Bible says that when he died on the cross, he paid for our sin too. How amazing! Jesus is strong enough to save weak people like Peter and like you and me if we ask him to.